I just have enough oil to like kind of coat the bottom of the pan. It's about 1/4 of an inch of oil. Now, normally, I would say if you're cooking breakfast potato, if you're cooking anything, the importance of knife cuts is so that you can cut things evenly and they cook evenly. Well, perfect example of something that is absolutely not going to cook evenly, because we have some large dice here. We have small, medium, large. We even have these little brunoise in here. But because I didn't want to waste any potatoes when I did this demo last quarter, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. It'll be a great example of how things cook at different speeds because of the, the different size. And then what I found was that the little tiny brunoise guys get super crunchy, and as long as you don't burn them, they actually add a lot to this. So it's one of those things with cooking where like there are happy accidents. Sometimes you discover something or you innovate something completely by accident, and it's really kind of awesome. So now I can very deliberately say, you know what, I'm confident in this. I'm cool with having those little baby bits in here. So we're going to let that go. The idea is you don't want to overcrowd your pan. This is as much as you'd want to put in. It's a single layer because you want every single potato here touching the bottom of the pan so it can get nicely brown. So we're going to let that go. And over here, I have a piece of dough. So this is leftover pie dough. Culinary 3 and 4 are making really pretty pies this week. They're experimenting with beautiful pie crust designs. And so the pie crust recipe that I have my students use, it makes enough trim to make something else. And I'm a big fan of saving everything like Taylor did. She didn't throw away those potato trimmings. She made something incredibly wonderful out of them. It just sounds so delicious. So well thought out and improvised. So what I'm showing you today is something that's improvised. I looked in my refrigerator. I knew I had the dough. So I'm just rolling it out. I'm trying to roll it into a circle. It was a bit of an awkward feat. So what I'm making right now is called a galette. Galette, G-A-L-E-T-T-E. It's a rustic pie because it's not made in a pie pan. Lined with parchment. One of the things I like about this dough is it's not delicate, but it tastes delicate. It's very buttery and flaky. But it doesn't fall apart. I don't worry about my fingers going through this, and that is a wonderful thing. Here are my potatoes from last period. So while our potatoes are cooking, I'm going to put the potatoes from last period in a bowl. And you can see, here are those little brunoise cuts. They were crunchy. I mean, they're not crunchy anymore. They actually have a little bit of crunch to them. Now, much earlier, I made scrambled eggs, which are looking, cold scrambled eggs just are not pretty. These scrambled eggs will taste amazing. They were very slow cooked, so they're like super creamy scrambled eggs. Using the Gordon Ramsay method, if you guys are familiar with Chef Ramsay, he makes the best scrambled eggs. I have bacon, and I cooked off the bacon earlier, which means just I pre-cooked it. You put any breakfast meat in here, or no meat at all, of course. And definitely do a little salt in here. What else? Some fresh parsley. I'm going to do some cheese, and here I have a blend. This is what was in my refrigerator. I didn't go out and buy any of this today. I have fresh thyme. That's a fresh herb that goes really well with potatoes, pretty much everything. It's an incredible herb. We're going to go in with some black pepper. And now I'm just going to stir this up. So basically this is like a breakfast, a diner breakfast. Scrambled eggs, potatoes, and 2 strips of bacon, all put together. Whatever you're cooking in here is going to stick until it's built up a brown crust. As soon as that brown crust is there, it's not going to stick. So if it's sticking, don't move it. That's the rule. If it's not sticking, it hasn't built a crust. If that's what you're going for. When you're searing meat, you're looking for a crust. When you're browning potatoes, you're looking for that golden crust. So I gave them a little stir. Again, I want them sort of all on all making contact with the pan. You don't have to use a cast iron pan. I love cooking with cast iron. It works with this induction burner I use, my portable burner, but you can use any pan. So let's go back here. So here's my dough. Okay, egg wash, very common thing in baking and pastry. I have a tablespoon of water. I'm going to crack this egg in very ungracefully. I'm going to grab a fork. Okay, so egg wash is what gives pie crust a glossy brown surface. It's what gives, you know, breads, rolls, dinner rolls, like have that beautiful, like glossy brown sort of crust. That comes from an egg wash, but we also use it for another reason, especially in pie making. It works like glue. Egg with all of its protein is an incredible glue, and the flavor is not, it doesn't interfere with anything. So I've egg washed my entire thing here. I'm going to, I don't know if I'll be able to use all of this filling, honestly. Well, yeah, no, that's too much. Too much. I'm not going to be able to use all of it, but I am just going to kind of set it here in the center. So this is the kind of thing where, like, if you had extra pie filling left from something, if you had apples that were just starting to get some brown spots, these still taste good with brown spots when they're in apple pie filling. You know, if you had peaches that had gotten to the point where they were way too soft to eat, they're not moldy by any means, but they're just way too soft, or your strawberries have gone way too soft, they haven't rotted, but they're just like really kind of ugly. You chop them up, toss them with sugar, a little bit of cornstarch, you put them inside a piece of pie crust, and you can make a galette. You can literally put anything inside here. Leftover sloppy joe, put it in here. Mac and cheese, put it in there. Probably be good, I don't know. You could put anything in, sweet or savory. So now that I've done that, I'm actually gonna mound it up just a little bit more. I'm going to start to do a galette fold, which is basically just folding over to my left and turning. So I just fold some and flop it over. There are lots of videos of this on YouTube, but I mean, it's not a complicated process. I'm just folding over. It makes this beautiful shape, sort of like a little dumpling. And then I want to go back with my egg wash. Get some more glue, edible glue, and I want to go into each of those seams and just press down a little bit. So it's performing two functions. It's fusing it together, it's gluing it together, and it's going to provide gloss. Also, if I want to put any toppings on this, which I do for decoration, it's going to help glue that as well. Makes it nice and sticky. Okay, so there we go. Just one final pass around. I think it looks lovely. And now what I'm going to do, I want a little bit of salt on my crust. So I'm going to get a little salt because this is a savory situation. I'm going to put a little pepper on here. So Parmesan cheese is a great thing to use. This, as you can tell, is not Parmesan. This is more of that Jack and cheddar that I had. But by putting this on the crust, it's going to give it a lot more detail, but also flavor, because the cheese is going to sort of caramelize as this cooks. And last but not least, one thing that can go really well on a savory pastry is seeds. So I have sesame seeds. These add flavor and crunch and color and texture and interest. You could use poppy seeds. You could use everything but the bagel topping. It's really whatever you want or nothing. If this were a sweet one, I would say sprinkle sugar on it, or cinnamon sugar. Sugar in the raw is awesome. Really, sky's the limit there. So, okay, our potatoes are looking fabulous. Those little Brunoise ones are just like, they're looking super fun. The big ones have fairly decent color. And now what I want is, I chopped up some onions earlier because I had onion in my refrigerator. I had half an onion from another thing I did. Wrapped it up for a rainy day. So the onions are going in right now because if I had put them in at the beginning, by now they'd be burnt. They cook at a different speed. It's important to know the speed at which your food cooks. So I'd say this has about 3 more minutes. I'm going to let it go for 3 more minutes. I'm going to stick this galette into a 425-degree oven for just 12 minutes and it will be done. So it's a very, very quick dessert or breakfast or lunch or whatever have you. Voila. Oh, beautiful, beautiful breakfast potatoes. And it has all those crunchy little mini guys, which honestly, they're pretty great. What was in this bowl? Oh, garlic oil. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so right now we have some bland little breakfast potatoes. So we've got to go in and give them some pepper. You guys can handle a lot of pepper. I'm going to throw some of my fresh thyme in there. Do a bunch of fresh parsley. And salt. And I think they will be marvelous. And I'm going to let these cool for just a little bit so we can put them into our breakfast galette.